when I grow up. I do not want to be like Bailey and Curly. No way. I have higher standards than that.
They make me laugh. At the same time, scare the shit out of me. What will they say next?
Welcome to the roller coaster world of Bailey and Curly. Unfiltered. While this voice may be artificial, the unfiltered musings from our hosts certainly are not. Make yourself comfortable, grab a drink, and let's get unfiltered. Here's your hosts, Bailey and Curly.
Hey there, and welcome to Bailey and Curly Unfiltered. I think we're about episode 8, so how are you, Bailey?
I'm going good, mate. How are you?
I am sensational. We're recording this Melbourne Cup Day. Neither of us really care too much about the horses. However, I'm like most people. I watched the race, I guess, and I thought it was heartbreaking seeing that horse break down in the final straight today. So,
is that what happened?
Yeah, unfortunately, the top weight, Anthony Van Dyke, great name for a horse, broke its fetlock, which I'm sure is the front. And it just, you could see it when it happened, and that's the real sad side, I guess, of the Melbourne Cup. So
yeah, and that's why I don't really support it, because I could be wrong here, but that horse probably would have got shot at the end of that race.
Yeah, it was euthanized. So
yeah, which is sad.
Yeah, so Melbourne Cup Day, unfortunately, celebrated right around Australia. People won lots, people probably lost lots, and unfortunately, we lost a beautiful creature in Anthony Van Dyke. Bailey, you've been looking forward to this podcast. The kids are loose.
We're loose, mate.
And the interesting thing, I was talking to someone who is in Melbourne and who's been quite vocal around, the lockdown and, actually really interesting journey that person's been on. First, there was a hysteria of that, that everyone was going to die, and then all of a sudden, when they've been locked down for 3 months straight, you could see the tone change with him. But it was interesting because I was trying to explain our podcast, and I said it's really fucking loose.
Yeah,
and so hence the reason the kids are loose. So tell me, what's Victoria been like this week?
It's a roller coaster, man. Like mixed emotions. Like, let's date back and it's funny. People like me won't forget what Dan put us through. I don't think that, even with things open now, and I hope not, because he was saying all week he's got this big announcement Sunday to make. Yeah, and I actually found a video on the Friday. It wasn't for this. It was just happened to be a segment of him, and he was like, "I've got a bit, making where I'm going to make an announcement Sunday," and then nothing. Yeah, and then no announcements, and that was just a kick in the guts, and that just made us all very, very angry. It's funny that I got 2 messages from friends on the Sunday saying he's wearing the suit. It's bad news. And then
so he didn't have the North Face on.
That came on Monday, the day after, because we had 0 cases. He's like, well, he can't fucking face up and say he's still going to close us. Yeah. So I finally got to see his lies. I finally got to see the lies. And when he lies, a lot of them say, I can't recall. That's the famous line, I can't recall.
So instead of saying, I fucking forgot.
Yeah, or I'm lying. We got told 6 weeks in July, mid-September, but then it got extended. And so I literally haven't watched the video since, or heard his voice since he announced he opened up. So let's get to the opening up, hey, shall we?
And there was a really big deal made of the fact that he didn't front the Saturday press conference after doing it for how many hundreds of days in a row, and everyone was saying what a champion, and he's finally given himself a day off.
So that's the thing. Like, everyone, like, when he announced it, I cried. I was like, finally.
Yeah.
And it was fucking weird to be out. Like, the first day, I was down there at 9 o'clock, went and got a massage. I was second in the door. But it's so crazy to see, because for us, seeing the shops empty is normal. And now to see all these people, that was normal like 6 months ago. That was what it was like. But because it's been empty for so long, it's so weird. I'm like, like I said to a mate last night down in Tassie, I said, dude, you must forget COVID exists. And he's like, yeah. Like, a lot of states probably do, because it's been like this for so long now.
Oh, we don't. So even though we've had like a month of no community transmission, we still have some stupidity in terms of restrictions and borders. And I mean, how's this? I mean, the Queensland border, we're now open to all parts of New South Wales except Sydney.
The fuck? Because they announced the other week that fucking it was closed. And
it's ridiculous.
Speaking of the Queensland government, I've seen did you watch the grand final?
The AFL?
Yeah, the AFL.
Yeah. Yep.
When Trent Cotchin was making his, from the captain of the Richmond Tigers, when he was making his speeches, he thanked the Queensland government, and she was sitting there and the crowd booed. I thought, that's just perfect.
But mate, we had our election on Saturday and she won the landslide. So
did she?
Yep, she won very, very easy. And this is the thing. If Dan Andrews was to hold an election tomorrow, he would win in a landslide.
Yeah,
because all this fear around this particular COVID
they're all
stuff.
Fucking heroes for keeping 0 cases. And now, like, I've seen a video of his first name's Josh. I can't remember his last name, but he's federal, and he's opposite of Dan.
Oh, Frydenberg, yeah.
That's him, yeah. And he was speaking up in Parliament saying we should not be comparing ourselves to the UK. We should not be comparing ourselves to the US, which fucking everyone is. He said Melbourne should be comparing to Tasmania, New South Wales, Queensland, etc., which is true. We're one fucking country, and now we're a broken country.
We are, and we're a divided country, and it is going to take so long, if ever, that it comes back. It really is. It's just going to be horrendous, to be quite honest. So, you know, so we had the state elections on Saturday, and most people had 70% of the people had already voted from pre-polls and postals.
Yeah.
And so the voter turnout on the Saturday was shit. I mean, it was only 30%. So how do you get a gauge of what sort of in pre-poll, in polls and whatnot? She won more seats. I can't get over it. In Townsville, there is a youth crime, real epidemic around that town. People are talking about the crime in Townsville and under the Labor government, and lo and behold, they won. They looked to win all 3 seats in town. Like, it's just mind-boggling, because keeping people safe is what people have voted on. Nothing else. Yeah. Nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. And like today, I was in IKEA for the second time in 2 days, and
woohoo!
It is good to be open, to be able to do things. I just feel more motivated to get up in the morning and do little things, and like go to Bunnings and just go to IKEA, even though the fucking 25k rules still apply. But I really don't.
Does it really?
Yeah, till Monday. So that's sort of like when you messaged me saying freedom, I was like, well, we're fucking still in this ring. It's still like. Yeah. It's just funny, like, okay, everything's open, you can see more people probably, but like, who has mum, dad, brother, sister, tattoo shop, everything in their 25Ks? They don't.
Yeah.
So, you know, like...
So and I've seen there's still protests going on this week.
Wouldn't surprise me. Like, I've watched a couple of videos on YouTube, this guy he's always down there filming it, and like, I can understand the cops are probably sick of him, but to see the cops down there is disgusting. Like, there's like hundreds of them, and you can just tell they're like puppets to Dan. They're like, they don't back down. I'm like, this is disgusting to see. But going back to IKEA today, like, COVID's changed me. Like I just don't hold back anymore. I was in IKEA at the self-serve, and there was one free, right?
Yeah.
And there was a couple in front of me, and I said to the gentleman, I said, are you going to that self-serve? Because, like sometimes they're FPOS only. So I thought, okay, he's got cash. He might be waiting. So I said, are you going to that one? Turns around, super angry. She hasn't wiped that one down yet.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Nah, fucking serious. So I paid for my item, like a few of them freed up. And as I walked away, the lady in IKEA said, thanks, have a nice day. I said thank you to her, and then to him, I said, if you're scared, stay home.
Yeah.
I gave it back to him. I thought, no, fuck you, man. Like,
yeah,
give me that attitude.
It's, oh, mate, it just does my head in, Matt, as you know. It was interesting. On the day that, Victoria reopened, there's a number of 24-hour Kmart's down your way. And, of course, they open at 1 minute past midnight. They're allowed to.
There was hairdressers open.
And there were people lined up to go. There's the demand there for it any day, in normal days. Otherwise, they wouldn't be open 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
So you've got demand, and then you've got this pent-up demand because people hadn't been out. So, of course, people took on the novelty. Twitter went vile. It's amazing the amount of people. Like, what I don't get, Matt, is the people that go to Kmart just to take photos of the crowd, just to then post it on Twitter and say, look out, third wave, here we come.
Well, fuck?
Why are you there?
Exactly. It's not like it was a shock. There was people there, like, been locked up for 3 months. What do you expect? And there was bars open at midnight. There was pubs, hairdressers open at midnight. When the hairdressers opened the week earlier, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And, it's just.
And the beaches, I hear it was a good day on the beach at Melbourne today. And
I think it's been 30 degrees yesterday and today. Like, I've been in such a good mood. Like, the weather just brings people up. Like, yesterday on the way home from IKEA, man, like, what Melbourne have been through, I can just feel this very strong unite now between just strangers in the street. I was at the traffic lights, red light in my car. To my left is a pub. People outside drinking beer. So what do?
Were they sitting down?
They were sitting down. So what does Matt Bailey do? Cranks up the volume in his car and presses play on Get On The Beers remix. Within about 3 seconds, like, the song hadn't even started, but I think it started with one case, and at the end of the dinner party, and these people just look at me, and they just get up, start dancing, they raise their glass to me. It was just a fucking happy, like, it was bond we now have, and they showed me Dan Andrews beer coasters. I wish I could read what was on it.
And that's good normal behaviour from people that have endured the world's longest lockdown, who are finally happy to be out and about. I know when Queensland was locked down, and my fear now with Anastasia getting back in so easily based around the I'm keeping you safe. If we have another outbreak, we will be locked down without a doubt, because she knows it's popular. So, but the drama is, it's not the right thing. It's not the right thing to do. Protect the ones that are vulnerable. This is going to be an interesting wash up if we ever get to wash it up and review it. It's just going to be so interesting. So, but I was blown away by Twitter, mate. Kmart, the Kmart hashtag was trending. Third wave hashtag was trending. And it's just fucking hysteria. Nothing else but hysteria. Yeah. And it's all from the Dan fans. It's, it just does my head in.
We've done so well, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what really pisses me off is, like, I'm very anti-mask, and I wear it 50% of the time. It's fucking 30 degrees. I don't want to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Like, how can reducing how much air you have to breathe not reduce like how you breathe?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm no expert, but people say it's all in your head. If you put something over your mouth, surely that makes it harder to breathe. How is giving you a little space to breathe, not, you know?
And you're recycling air.
Yeah. And I seen this comment the other day that, you know, I live in Melbourne, we went from 700 to 0, masks do work. I'm thinking, they went to fucking 0 because we couldn't leave. We were in our house. Of course, no one's going to fucking spread. You know, like of course, went from 700 to 0. And it's good to see the cases. I think today was 00. So you know what Donut Day is here in Melbourne.
Yep, absolutely, Donut Day.
My friend sent me a Snapchat about 8 this morning. She said it's Donut Day 00. So I went and got 2 Krispy Kreme donuts. I'm like, fuck, I haven't had a donut. Yeah,
Krispy Kreme's probably. I think it's all a conspiracy. So, conspiracy from Krispy Kreme, signage companies, you know, people that install perspex fucking barriers. They're all behind COVID because they're the ones that have benefited. So mate, I'm just pleased that you got through it, and I'm pleased that Victoria got through it. But
it is,
it really does sort of worry me moving forward. You know, in Queensland, if we get another outbreak or some community transmission, I've got no doubt that Anastasia will just lock us down because I'm keeping you safe, and you know, it's just so there's still a lot. I mean, I'm not going to Yamba this year. You know, I go to Yamba every January, and even though the borders are now open and I can get there, the reality is that, you know, who knows what's going to happen come January. We've still got 2 months to go. So we just made the call. I'm not even going to worry about it this year.
Feel like they're going to get us all set for Christmas, and then, okay, Christmas is over, back to bad news or something, because, you know, there's talks of everything opening up before Christmas.
Well, the interesting thing, Matt, is that they're now talking, from what I can understand, in the World Economic Forum, whoever they are, they're talking about using the lessons from COVID to instigate a like climate change, some real urgent climate change. Because obviously, when there's no planes flying and there's not a lot of people on the roads and less manufacturing, our emissions around the world have decreased. So, of course, people have said, well, there's the answer to our climate change. Lock everyone at home. So it'll be interesting to see when and if we do get out of COVID as to what then happens. Because, you know, a lot of people are saying international travel won't be until 2023 at the earliest. I'm certainly not planning on any international bookings next year. I'm hoping 2022. But, you know, that's going to be a really interesting thing, you know, especially, you know, when we look at what's going to happen to the US. So we're on election day now in the US as we record this, Yeah. So it is going to be a very interesting day tomorrow. We should have a very clear idea by about 4 o'clock, I think, here in Australia tomorrow afternoon, as to who the next president of the United States will be. And I think that's going to be a really compelling story as to what happens in the US.
It's going to be a very scary thing. I'm scared. Like, a lot of the musicians I follow, they hate Trump. A lot of them. And it's such a... You know, I actually finished watching The Social Dilemma yesterday or the day before, and an interesting point in there, apart from being addicted to our phones and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They said two things that really stood out to me, and one was fake news travels 6 times faster than the truth, which is true. Just look at COVID. And we stop being friends with people because of who they voted for.
Yep.
And that's such a big divider at the moment, Trump or Biden. Like,
I think the America's on a lose-lose at the moment, depending on who wins. No matter who wins, I think there's going to be unrest. I think if Trump manages to get home, there will be, protests like what we've seen already.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right across. And then if Biden gets in, I mean, who knows what these good old boys, the gun-toting people that follow Trump are going to do. So it's going to be an incredibly interesting time to be an observer, but, it's going to impact us in some way, shape or form as well. So, yeah, it's good to see Obama back on the trail again. It's good to hear a true politician. Well, so he's good. Been out the last week or so supporting Biden, and he's just a magical speaker. He's a magical orator. I'm not close enough to understand the good things that he did in America or the bad things, but he certainly speaks like a statesman, and and that was good to see because American politicians, they're certainly not a statesman at the moment. So,
no,
yeah,
scary times.
It is, mate. It is. So let's hope that it all goes smoothly, and maybe the fears that we have and maybe others have will not be seen. So what have you been up to anyway since lockdown? Did I see you on the beach on social media?
I did. I went down on Wednesday, not today. I went down Wednesday to catch up with a mate, and that was good. Went for a swim in the water, very, very cold, and just unloaded on him. Like he was better than my therapist. I'm not joking.
Okay.
Like he was just
so good. Better than the podcast. My God.
I just opened up to him what I was struggling with, and at the end of it, he's like, "Dude, you're doing pretty good." Like, and understandable of what you've gone through, like what you're going through, and all that sort of stuff. And he came from a place of love, and I look up to him as well. Being, he's in the creative business as well, and it's good to see someone, doing what I want to do and going through what I will eventually do. And so that was good. Had some lunch with him, and it was a nice road trip. And what was funny was I accidentally put the wrong directions. Ended up getting there in the end, but they've actually got the Ring of Steel set up down there, which I was like, I actually seen it on the way out because I went the proper way, and it's Mornington Peninsula, which is still metropolitan Melbourne. So I don't know why the police were set up there for. Yeah, it's very weird. It's like looking at what's metro and what's regional, but Monday everything goes. So, but man, the beach was good. Got my skateboard back. Customer service goes a long way, and unfortunately, the company I bought it, they've been ignoring me for 3 to 4 weeks.
Truly?
Yeah, very disappointed. Like under warranty, it broke. It still went, but a little part came off. So I thought, that might do something or whatever. So they found out about it, and then 2 weeks went by after they found out about it, replied back to my email, ignored me. Oh, this is disgusting. Gave them a 1-star review the other day. They actually replied to the 1-star review, told me I wasn't being honest with them. I'm like, if I knew how it broke. But anyway, I couldn't be bothered with them, so I ended up reaching out to the electric skateboard community I'm in Melbourne, and voila, it got fixed like that. Like, they were so good. I said, hey guys, who can I take to get this fixed? And they tagged a few people, messaged a few people, ended up getting to the right guy who knows his circuit boards and soldering. It just cost me a 4-pack of Jack Daniels. So, been out skating today and yesterday, and been good, and bought some LED lights from IKEA for the studio, and just doing some stuff around the house. It is good that shops are open now, because there was so much I wanted to do. I just didn't want to buy online from Bunnings. It's just one of those things where I want to go in and have a look.
Yeah.
And find what I'm after. So,
because of that, that was another thing that people were quite vocal about on the Twitter engine too, is that people were saying it's almost like you either think this way or you think that way. So of course they said, but everyone's been talking about how bad this is on small business, and the first thing you do is you line up at midnight to go to Kmart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And
It doesn't mean you don't support small business. I mean, small business is the coffee shop, it's the bar, it's the hairdresser. Because you shop at Kmart doesn't mean you support small business. It's just such a redundant argument. Sorry, mate, I cut you off.
No, you're right. And one thing that really pisses me off, and I actually had another therapy session a couple of weeks ago, and I almost hung up on her. I really did.
Yeah.
And I hate myself for almost hanging up because because I thought she was talking about like how bad COVID is for like the actual virus itself, but she actually meant like the surroundings and what it does to us when we leave our home and to think and all this sort of stuff. But one thing she said, and a lot of people say it pisses me off, is they're so quick to defend suicide rates like they know they haven't gone up. Like, I don't know why people can't be open to the idea that they may have gone up. Like, people are so quick to like, oh no, but they haven't gone up. So locking people inside is fine. So...
Yeah, I think there's going to be a number of different rubbery stats, because one of the comments I made during the week to someone that I know, it would appear that mass gatherings aren't necessarily the breeding ground that people said for COVID. So here in Queensland, we've had stadiums that were 75% full, but we were jammed in certain areas of those stadiums. So... but no COVID cases came out of that. We've had protests in Melbourne. We've had protests, the Black Lives Matter in whenever that was. I've forgotten what month
back
that
in
was.
June. That was
back
June.
in June.
Yeah.
And no COVID cases came out of that. We've seen all these coppers tackling people, right? Especially in Victoria.
Yeah,
Because one of the greatest challenges for Victorian police is how do they get their reputation back. But we've seen all of this like interaction, nice and close, but no COVID cases came out of it. So the COVID risk seems to be in family or intimate gatherings, where you haven't seen your nona for a long time, or your grandma or your nana, or and especially from a cultural aspect, there's a lot of that touchy-feely stuff. That seems to be the risk.
And that's what Dan says as well. It's when if people come to your home and you let your guard down and you're not practicing social distancing, which I hate using that word.
As if you're going to practice social distancing when people
I'm
at home.
I practice on guitar, but how do you practice social distancing? It's like the circles on the grass for like picnics and stuff. I thought today, who the fuck goes out, has a picnic, and sits next to strangers anyway? You're with your friends. Why would you, like even a year ago, how close... You're
not going to put those dots and crosses down on the floor at home, are you? So, Bailey, come on over and have a beer. You've got to sit there, and I'm going to sit over here. It's just...
It doesn't make sense. They're just trying to... I don't know. I still think there's something else behind it, but like... And I had that conversation with a friend about, 40,000 at the NRL Grand Final. Yep. Melbourne Storm.
Victorians were so successful outside of Victoria this year.
I know. But, so 40,000 in NRL. And I was saying, but we can't have people inside gyms.
Yeah, yeah.
And my friend was like, but it's outdoor.
Yeah. Can I tell you how ludicrous the... regulations are? So the day or the week after the grand final AFL up here, so we had 30,000 in the Gabba, right? The Gabba only holds 40,000 or something, so 75%. So 30,000 people in the Gabba. There was a funeral for someone, quite a well-known person, that was also booked for the Gabba. They weren't allowed to have 500 people there. They just weren't allowed.
So
they had to comply with the 40 people rule.
And that's why I think the Melbourne Cup, there was going to be 500 people there, but there was a big uproar about it. So that's why they had no one.
Yeah, and how sad's that? I mean, you guys lost the spiritual. You've had the heart ripped out of you. The AFL Grand Final played up here. No one at Melbourne Cup Day. Mind you, it's a piss fest all the time anyway.
Oh, it's a piss fest.
So it probably wasn't such a bad thing. But the reality is that's spiritual. I mean, what happens with so you've got the Oz Open in January. I mean, the Tennis Open. I mean, that's huge in Melbourne. So who knows? So will it just continue? And now, Matty, you wanted to play Two Truths and a Lie to get our conversation off COVID. So to finalise and for the podcast, because we'll try and keep it short this week. Two Truths and a Lie.
So I've got two. So feel free to ask me any questions about it to get a little bit more out of me.
Okay.
So Two Truths and a Lie. I got my earring ripped out. I went vegetarian for a year, and my suitcase went from New York to Sydney without me.
So you had your earring ripped out.
Yep.
You went vegetarian
for a year,
and your suitcase went from
from New York to Sydney without me.
Okay. I'm thinking the New York, the suitcase thing is something that could happen with just about anyone. But I'm thinking that if your suitcase was on the plane and somehow you didn't, so you would have been at the airport, so potentially Bailey was having a couple of kombuchas. Is that the way I say it?
Kombuchas.
In the airport bar. That could have been a possibility. Having the earring ripped out, I think that's, you're a bit of a rock star. People flocking to you. There's some stuff there. A vegetarian for a year sort of stands out to me initially as, but I know what you do to keep a girl happy. So if you were going out with a vegetarian or a vegan, the reality is that potentially you would have gone vegetarian with them. So you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say
is this for
the earrings. Sorry? I'm going to say the two truths are the earring and vegetarianism, and your lie is the suitcase.
Oh, so I'm going to take you through. Earring? Yes. It was in high school. I was in high school. I had a horseshoe earring, and my mate was next to me, and his zipper on his pencil case was broken, so he was using a paper clip, and he had his pencil case up like that, and caught my earring and ripped out.
So it wasn't an adoring fan.
No, I was 15.
Okay, but it's still the truth.
Yeah, it was the truth. The lie was the vegetarian.
Wow.
But you were so close because I actually dated a vegetarian for a lot of years. A lot of years. So, and you were spot on with something I would do to keep her happy. But I never went vegetarian with her. And the other truth was the suitcase. So what happened was, for anyone that doesn't know, Qantas flyer, let's go pre-COVID, Melbourne to Sydney, Melbourne to LA, Sydney to LA, etc.
Yeah.
And then they also do a LA New York flight.
Yeah.
So we were in New York. We spent 3 days there, and we were flying back to LA for 4 nights. But the plane that goes from New York to LA stops in LA, gets cleaned, new crew come on, and that plane that's just come from New York keeps going to Sydney. So we got off in LA my partner at the time's bag was there, but mine went to Sydney. So they gave me $60 at LAX.
Oh, whooshka.
Yeah, so being low maintenance,
and told to wait for a day to get your bag back.
So I went to Walmart and got some clothes and bits, and then got it back on the second to last night. The last night there, it came back. We left on the 1st. We were just there like 2 years ago to the date because it was Halloween.
Yeah.
We spent Halloween at Universal Studios. We got back to the hotel around 3 a.m. and the suitcase was there waiting for me. So then the next
the suitcase was the obvious truth, and because it was so obvious, I thought, no, he's thrown me here.
Yeah, So you got it back, and then the next day we flew out like the next day, then that night. But I had my suitcase.
Alrighty.
And funny, speaking of Walmart, I bought something from Walmart. It took 3 days to get from San Francisco to Sydney.
Yeah. It
took 21 days to get to Melbourne. I got it yesterday, finally.
Wow.
21. It got to Sydney on the 12th of October.
You got to love Walmart, but don't you, when you're in the States? You got to love it. And I just look behind me because on my shelf I've got a little NFL ball, a Wilson ball that I bought from just next to the
on air. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So $12.95.
Yeah, I won't say what I bought because it's for Mum and she'll listen to this. So she'll pick out the two truths and a lie in a heartbeat.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. So my turn.
Yes.
All right. So I used to, and I wasn't prepared for this, so this is on the spot. So you'll probably guess it.
I only told him 2 weeks ago, guys. So.
We have a loose podcast. There's no structure to this, but anyway. So my first truth is that no. They're all truths. You got to pick the lie. So I used to play in representative rugby league teams with a gentleman called Alan Langer, who went on to become one of Queensland's greatest halfbacks. I've shared the stage with the person that can only be described as the number one leadership expert in the world, and that's John Maxwell. And then when I was a kid growing up in Maroochydore, I used to surf with a guy who was part of my mates, a guy called Gary Elkerton, Kong, who went on to become like the runner-up in the world title race. I think 3 times, and he ultimately won his first surfing world title as in the Masters category. So mine's all about people that...
Fuck, they're good, because I know you surf, grew up in Maroochydore. I know you're a team, you're a speaker, and I know we both know who John Maxwell is.
Yeah.
And the first one was you played rugby with a guy. Was it rugby with a guy who...
It's not rugby, it's rugby league. Right.
Rugby league.
You Victorians need to get this right. It's either league or union. So they're 2 completely different games.
So I can't just say rugby.
No, it's league. If you're going to say anything, you say it's league.
League.
Yeah.
So is Melbourne Storm league?
League.
Yeah.
All right. Did you watch the league on the weekend? Oh, did you watch the union on the weekend? 2 completely different sports.
Oh,
but anyway.
okay.
All right.
John Maxwell, a truth, 100%. And the surfing is the truth, and I think the lie is the rugby. Sorry, the union. The league.
The league.
The league.
And you still can't get it.
Still fucked it up.
All right, so in 1982, I played for Brisbane West Schoolboys at the state titles, and the halfback was a gentleman called Alan Langer.
Oh, so that was the truth.
So that's the truth. Gary Elkerton, Kong. Probably I stretched that one a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily call him a good friend. I played footy with him and I surfed with him, but I surfed with him and Kong was just a legend. So that's the truth, but I stretched it just a little bit by calling him a good friend. And Maxwell is the lie, because even though I spoke on a stage in front of, an audience of 1,000 coaches in Orlando, I didn't share the stage with him. So even though Maxwell, so many people say, I shared the stage with someone. The reality is, sharing the stage is I'm up on stage with John Maxwell. That never happened. Never, ever happened. Yeah. I spoke on the same stage as Maxwell, but I certainly didn't share the stage.
Oh.
Interesting.
Interesting. I thought you were going to tell the listeners why we're a day late on the old podcast.
Yeah. we are a day late as well, because we were going to do this on the Monday night, but I woke up Monday morning nice and early. We've got lorikeets that come into our backyard every morning, and they need to be fed. So I put out my lorikeets, I get my coffee, that's my time. It's just the calmer of the day, and my wife comes down and says, happy anniversary, Tony. And I went, whoops. And it's 29 years, so... Yeah.
Congratulations. I just thought that was something that happened in an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond, where the guy forgets the anniversary.
Yeah, my wife deserves so much better than me, mate. Can I tell you? She just really does. She's the most amazing woman I've known. She puts up with so much. She puts up with me, and I love her dearly. And so needless to say, me scheduling to do our podcast on the night of our anniversary. Mind you, can I just say, we ran the virtual New York City Marathon on Saturday, right? So
you run a virtual...
well, you run it here. So, but in your headset, in the app that the NYC, the New York Roadrunners give you, you're getting, every time there's a 5K update, they're telling where you are in the New York Marathon. You've got people that have won it that are sharing. So it was really cool. But during October, Sharon and I ran 2 marathons. So we ran the virtual London Marathon. Yep. We ran the virtual New York Marathon. And in between those, we ran a half marathon. So it's probably the most we've ever contemplated doing and actually did. But needless to say, Monday we were still incredibly feeling. I mean, even today we're still not there. So we're just having a week off now, just to let the body just say, "What the hell were you guys up to? Don't you realise you're in your 50s?" Et cetera, et cetera. Which is really interesting, because there was a guy that recently ran 50 marathons in 50 days. Now, can you imagine that? Like, most people will, like there's only 1% of the world's population that will ever run a marathon, which is 42.2K. This guy did 50 of them in 50 days.
Is this Dave someone?
Yeah, I think...
That is his name Dave?
It might be, I'm not sure. But he worked as well. So he was up every morning as an electrician, went out on the tools, came home 3 o'clock, had a shower, and went and ran a marathon, as you do.
As you do.
So that's, for some people, I can't even contemplate that. I mean, a lady I know in Sydney, she did, just before COVID shut the world down, she did that 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents. Shit. So they start at South Africa, Johannesburg, I think. Yeah. And then they go and run the Antarctic Marathon. And so they did 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. That just does my head in. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm sitting here having a sook that we did 2 marathons and 2.5 marathons in a month. And then you've got some legends that are out there doing stuff like that. That just does my head in. So that's just awesome. Matt, what are you looking forward to over the next couple of weeks?
Couple of weeks? I can't think. I've got another couple of weeks off work. Probably just doing some things around the house, bit of maintenance. Yeah, not much. Going for more hikes, more skates. What about you?
I'm really looking forward to my week off,
Yeah.
and I'm enjoying that.
When's
But
Adelaide?
I'm in Adelaide.
Yeah.
We're down there the 19th of November. The 20th is my birthday. The workshop's on the 21st. So if there is anyone that just happens to be listening from Adelaide, go to rubyredstar.com.au and book your ticket. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be an amazing workshop. I'm really looking forward to it. I love Adelaide. I actually don't mind
Me
Adelaide.
too.
So,
Yeah.
it's different.
That's good. Yeah. I can't wait to get anywhere but Melbourne. At the moment.
And one day the rest of Australia is going to say, Victorians, you are now welcome. And you know, at the end of the day, I'm really looking forward to that day.
Like
so,
this, you know, not being able to international travel, I want to make the most of travelling within Australia. Like, yeah, I grew up in Adelaide, and even though when I moved to Mount Gambier, I still went up there for things. Yeah. But yeah, like I wouldn't mind getting back up there and just taking in the beaches, the winery, the Adelaide Hills, and you know, now I love my bushwalks. Go and find some up there.
Absolutely, Matty. Let's pull up stumps. 45 minutes we've gone for tonight. So
good.
As you know, I've got some stuff I've got to take care of.
You
so
too.
As always, it's been a pleasure, Matt Bailey.
Mate.
As always, episode 8 in the can. If you do happen to enjoy what we do, go see a doctor, go get some therapy.
Yeah. Have a glass of wine.
But if you do, like it, review it, you know, wherever you watch it. I mean, it's just 2 blokes shooting the breeze and giving our thoughts. And, you know, you can agree with them or disagree with them. But that's the beauty of what we do. We don't, you know, we're open to listening to your thoughts and sharing. So, all right. Another episode of Bailey and Curly Unfiltered. We shall see you all again soon.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank God that's over. If you didn't like it, leave a review to warn others, or share it with people you want to annoy. If you did like it, I'm sorry, you cannot be helped, so you may as well leave a good review. I guess the boys will appreciate it. As Curly would say, don't be an asshole. Hopefully, I won't see you next time. Goodbye.